Yeah. No, there's a lot of power there. So Jane McAlevey, the union organizer, she has a book that has my favorite title in all political literature, No Shortcuts. And in that book, she has a chart, a wonderful chart. I can share it around in my feeds. But she talks about the difference between mobilizing and organizing. In mobilizing, you're getting people to change an outcome within the political system as it exists. You're winning an election. That sort of dominates the sort of stuff we do. In organizing, like you said, it's changing the rules, right? It's actually building power and changing how the system works itself. From my experience on the Hill and through other advocacy work, that creates a status quo threat to people who should be on our side, right? If you say to a member of Congress, like, I have some innovative new ideas for new committees and new policy inputs and different ways of doing things, it's like, cool, I will think about that deeply. Please come back to me never, right? But if you can convince them that this is a way to build power, that this is a way to bring more people into the process, yeah, that's different. The Natural Resources Committee on the Hill, they had a great program to help people in environmental justice communities who don't have the budget to fly a bunch of people to DC every 3 months to have virtual input on their legislation, right? So you can push for stuff like that. And our labor power, we have immense labor power. The Great Resignation is like a massive labor strike, but not by that name because it didn't take place through the formal union power. So our union density in 1983 was about 20%. Now it's about 10%. So figuring out ways to formalize that labor power again, get that formal labor power back up, that's just not good for labor power in and of itself. That's millions of more households where people are getting political education and literature from the unions. That power's there. We just got to build it, and we got to convince our people to fight on the rules and make the rules better. Oh, and if you enact some chairmanship term limits in the House and the Senate, which Republicans have but Democrats don't, you might wind up with more Democratic elected officials who are comfortable going on a Twitch stream and know what that is. It lowers that average age.
This on? Yeah. So the problem you mentioned is very real, and it's actually, three things that they are doing at once. First of all, they are recognizing the importance of down ballot races, very, very down ballot races, and are fielding people to run for those offices. Second of all, they are politicizing races that are nonpartisan elections. So they aren't saying, hey, we're the Republican Party, we are just going to look at races where Republicans can run against Democrats. They're looking at things like county clerks, election officials, school boards, races where you traditionally didn't run on a party line, and are putting hyper partisan people up to run for office. And the third thing they are doing, I don't want to say they are building, they have built over the last many decades a permanent on the ground infrastructure that exists independent of campaigns. A little anecdotal story here. I ran for office in Florida in 2018, and I remember I showed up and I launched my campaign at the end of 2017, and I said, okay, where is the permanent on-the-ground organizing infrastructure in Florida? Where are the folks for the state party who are out there registering voters and knocking doors? And the response that I got was, oh, well, we'll build that when the coordinated campaign is up and running. Primary elections in Florida are in August, so that means the coordinated campaign was going to be up and running approximately 10 weeks before Election Day. When we take an approach that we think about building this kind of local infrastructure in the months and literally weeks before elections, that's how we lose. And so it can't be like an either or strategy, like we invest in great candidates or we invest in infrastructure or we invest at the top of the ticket or we invest down ballot. It has to be both and all of the above to all of this, because, you know, to build on what Yossi was saying earlier, like they're doing it very smartly, very strategically, and they are banking on the fact that we will not wise up to how smart they have been and change our ways.
Any final thoughts from other panelists? No? Well, then we'll just leave it there. Oh, wait, no, we won't.
No, I feel obligated to say something hopeful at the end. Yeah. At the end of the day, the question and what the panel was about was how to move people from complacency and inaction into activating. And we play in a lot of spaces that are explicitly non-political. Like if you put a political meme in the SpongeBob subreddit, you get booted, right? Like you're not allowed to. So we are working in spaces that are explicitly not political, but let me tell you, they are not quiet. They care. They care about inequity. They care about pluralism. They care about each other. If we are innovative and we engage in the political infrastructure, in the nonprofit industrial complex, if we're looking at lots of approaches to tackling problems, if we're engaging at the ground and we're doing it creatively, and I would argue, and you invite the creative community deeply into your work, we win, period, right? But we have to show up, and we have to show up all the time and everywhere, and not just during the campaigns.
Quick plug, starts with us. Unionize your workplaces. If you work in politics, I'm an associate member of Campaign Workers Guild. We unionized at Catalyst through the Communication Workers of America. I talk to people about unionizing in our field all the time. Always happy to chat.